Well, good evening, everyone. This is Michael O'Malley here at the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion for June 5th, 2020, recorded around 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. This is mainly going to focus here on Tropical Storm Cristobal, which now, again, is a tropical storm moving off the Yucatan Peninsula here. This is expected to gradually strengthen, and we have had pressures now fall from about 1,000 millibars to 998, so suggesting that intensification of this system is likely starting to begin here as the storm is now exiting the Yucatan Peninsula. This is now expected to make landfall here on Sunday afternoon or evening across portions of the Louisiana Gulf Coast there. Now, again, tropical storm warnings are mainly to the east of the system, as that's where the greatest impacts are expected, with maximum sustained winds approaching 60 miles per hour or just slightly higher or weaker. Tropical storm watches are in effect towards the west of the system. There's not much right now going on to the west, and we'll show that here in a minute. We also have storm surge watches and warnings that are posted for portions of the United States Gulf Coast, with about 3 to 5 inches here along the Mississippi coast, about 2 to 4 here upon landfall in the Louisiana coastline here, and about anywhere from 1 to 4 inches along the Florida Panhandle and western Florida Peninsula there, just north of the Tampa Bay region. Now, if we take a look here at the visible satellite, this is from COD Meteorology. Throughout the last 24 frames, we have seen a fairly decent increase in the shower and thunderstorm activity directly to the east of the center, which is probably located somewhere right in about here. It's a little bit difficult to actually discern where this low-level center is, but we do have a lot of this deeper convection that's piled off to the east of that, and you do notice even here in Florida, there's a lot of deep convection that's associated with the far outer stretches of this tropical system. Again, this is mainly being affected by some of the different atmospheric processes across this area. There might be a tad bit of a warm front lifting north, and that might be one of the main factors that's kind of playing into the fact that we have a bunch of thunderstorms developing on the eastern side of it. There's not really a lot of shear pushing this stuff off to the east, so it is more of this atmospheric processes associated with this larger Central American gyre, and embedded in that gyre is Tropical Storm Cristobal. Again, thunderstorms firing to the direct east of the system as the storm is moving off towards the north. However, there's not much here on the western side of it. And you do notice there is some dry air indicated by some of these arc clouds sort of out here, these weak cumulus clouds that are arcing out, indicating some of the drier mid-level air that's going to be eventually wrapped into it. Now, so far that really hasn't happened, but we're just not getting a lot of convection. Now, during tonight, the diurnal maximum, which is the best time for convection to form, is going to be upon us here very shortly. And if that's able to form around the center, we could be dealing with a whole nother beast here, in terms of what implications this has going forward. But if this remains a very lopsided weak system, which it likely will, then there's a lot of implications to the east of the system as well. Now, the sea surface temperatures, this is one thing that will not be hindering it. Sea surface temperatures in this area are running anywhere from about 27 to 29 Celsius. This is coming off the CDAS methodology from tropicaltidbits.com. The initial point of this being made was actually around 7 a.m. this morning, but water temperatures in this region are gradually running here about 27 to 29 Celsius, or here along the shelf waters, about 29, 28 Celsius. Again, the upper ocean heat content values, that's another thing that we look for. This measures how deep does the warmer water go. And again, once you start getting up towards these yellows and oranges, that's the higher upper ocean heat content. Certainly even some of the lighter shades of blue here, that's indicative of a decent upper ocean heat content, which the system has. And this is likely to be heading into a more favorable environment over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. And if we take a look here at the 850 millibar vorticity, or the spin in the atmosphere about 5,000 feet off the ground, again, this is taking a look, as you go higher up in the scale towards these reds and white colors, you're getting the higher cyclonic spin and turning in the atmosphere. And you're definitely seeing that showing up here, a lot of white indicative that this is actually now beginning to reestablish a vigorous circulation. And we can see that even in the satellite loop here that we do have a fairly decent, healthy circulation. Again, there was some concern that this might actually die off down here in Guatemala yesterday, but this has reemerged today as a very vigorous circulation. So there's definitely going to be some life to this system as it begins its long journey relatively up towards the north here over the next day or so. And if we take a look here at the vertical wind shear, there's not a lot of vertical wind shear, maybe 15 to 20 knots of shear impacting the system, which is actually expected to decrease over the next several days or so as this system rides off to the north, eventually bending back towards the west a little bit, as what we're going to have is this high pressure ridge that's propagating out towards the east here, setting up with another area of lower pressure out here. This obviously cannot just head straight up into this ridge, so it's actually going to bend around the ridge, sort of like that, and kind of move right around the ridge. Now, taking a look here at the latest recon plane that was in there, this is a higher level reconnaissance aircraft, but it still gets the general consensus that we did have some higher winds located just to the north and the east of the center, which is likely about right here, as indicated by some of the barbs. That's probably indicative that we have some of that higher radius and maximum winds off towards the east, which is to be expected. You notice there's not a lot of deep convection over this area, just some general, maybe some isolated showers, certainly some clouds in this area, but most of the convection is kind of off, forming this kind of sort of comet shape type deal over here, where we have most of the convection off in that region right there. So very important to understand that this is going range of impacts over the next several days, and there is likely to be impacts all the way into Florida because of this. Again, right now the official forecast does call for this to be 60 miles per hour upon landfall. However, give or take a little bit, if this does have a little bit more time over water, this could certainly make a run at becoming a hurricane, a weak Category 1. Again, it wouldn't necessarily shock me to see, maybe 75 miles an hour. Probably nothing more than that. Again, this is not going to be one of those big wind makers across this region, but again, any amount of wind can cause power outages. Certainly over saturated grounds, that could, bring down some trees over very saturated ground. Certainly flooding and storm surge is going to be a big concern across this region. So again, the main primary hazards are going to be heavy rainfall and flooding, and also storm surge along the coast, where anywhere from 1 to 5 inches could occur anywhere within the storm surge watch warning area. The best chance for storm surge is going to be just near and east of the landfall point, all the way through portions of the Mississippi Gulf Coast area, with 3 to 5 feet of storm surge expected down there near Gulfport and just to the south and east of there. So again, a lot to watch here over the next 24, really 12, 24, even 36 hours. This is expected to make landfall here within by Sunday afternoon or evening. So again, there is tropical storm warnings in effect. Heed the local emergency advice from local emergency management, the National Weather Service, and National Hurricane Center. I will be back here with another video forecast update early tomorrow morning, going over everything. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you again here tomorrow morning. Be safe, everyone.